There are currently only 9 US states that don't tax earned income. Unfortunately, Illinois is not one of them, which means that if you live and work in Illinois, you have to pay income tax to the state. Illinois taxes income differently than the federal government, so when you start a new job, your employer will ask you to fill out the Illinois W-4 in addition to the federal W-4 form. In fact, you have to fill out a separate Illinois W-4 for each job you hold. Illinois calculates taxes differently than the federal government. It uses the allowance deduction method, which estimates your tax withholding based on the number of dependents and qualifying allowances you claim on the Illinois W-4. Allowances effectively lower your taxable income, so the more allowances you claim, the less taxes your employer will withhold from your paycheck. Having said that, it's important to claim the correct number of allowances to avoid paying additional taxes or penalties at the end of the tax year. You can complete the Illinois W-4 form in 3 steps. Step 1 and 3 are required for everyone. You should only complete Step 2 if it applies to you. Let's go through the form together. Follow the instructions in Step 1 to select your basic personal allowances for you and your dependents. A dependent refers to your children under the age of 19, 24 if they're students, or any other qualifying relative for whom you provide at least half of their living expenses. Check the first box to claim an allowance for yourself if no one else, for instance a parent, can claim you as a dependent. You can check the second box only if you can claim your spouse as a dependent. However, this is uncommon. You can only claim your spouse as a dependent if you are married, filing taxes separately, and your spouse has no income. Enter the total number of boxes you checked on line 1. If you have any other dependents, you can claim them on line 2 and include the total from lines 1 and 2 on line 3. This is the total number of allowances you're eligible to claim in this step. You can choose to claim less allowances on line 4 than you're entitled to in line 3. However, this is uncommon and will result in more money being withheld from your paycheck. Step 2 will not apply to everyone. You should only complete Step 2 if 1. You or your spouse are age 65 or older or are legally blind, or 2. You wrote an amount on line 4 of the deductions worksheet for the federal W-4 form. Check all the boxes that apply and enter the total number of boxes you checked on line 5. If you entered any amount on line 4 of the deductions worksheet for the federal W-4, you can include it here on line 6 of the Illinois W-4. Then, divide the amount from line 6 by 1,000 and enter the result on line 7. Round to the nearest whole number to keep it simple. If you entered an amount on lines 5 and 7, add them together and enter the result in line 8. This is the total number of allowances you are entitled to claim in this step. On line 9, you can choose how many of the allowances you would like to claim. You can claim all allowances from line 8 or claim as few as 0. Knowing that claiming more allowances will lower your tax withholding and increase your take-home pay, it may not seem like a good idea to claim less allowances than you are entitled to in steps 1 and 2. However, if you have more than one job or your spouse also works, claiming the maximum allowances on all the W-4 forms will cause your employer to withhold too little tax from your paychecks, and you may have to pay a penalty to the state if you owe more than $500 when you file your taxes at the end of the year. If you have more than one job, your withholding will be most accurate if you claim all your allowances on the W-4 for the highest paying job and claim 0 on all other W-4s. Alternatively, if you and your spouse both work, you may each claim an allowance for yourself. Your withholding will be most accurate if you claim the remaining allowances on the W-4 for the highest paying job. In Step 3, you will consolidate the information from the first 2 steps. First, complete the personal information on the bottom portion of the form. Then, enter the total allowances you choose to claim in Step 1 in line 1 and any allowances from Step 2 in line 2 at the bottom of the page. If for any reason you would like to have more taxes withheld from your paycheck, you can enter a dollar amount on line 3, but this is uncommon. Sign and date at the bottom and return the bottom portion to your employer. You may keep the top portion for your own records. For more information, you can visit www.tax.illinois.gov.